Speaking of sirens, how do you do that? And council office staff, just again to confirm, no gap needed before we call to order the next meeting. All right. I like playing with a gavel. I'll call to order the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. All members of the board are present. Board member Bloom is participating remotely. We're also joined by council office staff, by Mayor Burton, various members of his staff, and some of the public as well. So tonight we have a couple items. The first item that we want to have with Fairway Estates is a public comment period. This is something that we don't normally do, but given the changes to the budget that have been potentially proposed, or given potential changes to the budget, we wanted to make sure that there was a time for the public to comment specifically on this item in this meeting. So we'll open the public comment period. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak to the budget for Fairway Estates? If you're online and would like to speak to it, please hit the button to raise hand. And I do see Mr. Wilkinson has raised his hand. I will open this up. Give me just a moment here. All right, and you can have up to 3 minutes to speak. Comments do need to be focused on the budget for the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. That would be correct if it was a public hearing. This is just public comment, so it's open to anything that impacts the board. Apologies for that confusion there. Okay, Mr. Wilkinson, if you'd like, you have 3 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, I was curious. I know. I'm curious why we have this 3-minute restriction. Every time I speak, I get cut off, and it's kind of rude. I don't recall. I've read the Constitution many times. I'm adept at constitutional law. I don't know of anything that limits my ability to speak at a public meeting. I know there's time, place, and manner restrictions. Those are different. I'm curious if someone can get back to me on that, why it's limited to 3 minutes, why I can't ever complete my thoughts. Because I do believe they're cogent, I do believe they're important. Concerning the budget itself, I've been listening to this for a few months now, and this is the first time I've ever really become engaged in city government or local government, really any government. And, you know, I look at the people on the council. I've done a lot of background and things. You guys are idiots. You're incompetent. Many of you, some of you can't hold down jobs. You're there discussing millions of dollars and what to do with it. I mean, you probably can't balance your checks, your checkbooks. I mean, and this form of government's broken, and look where it's gotten us. You guys are building art centers. They're going to be used 4 days a week for 3 hours, maybe the occasional wedding. I was on a tax committee for 6 years in Weber County, dealt precisely with this type of stuff. Recreation, arts, museums, parks. Man, it's a bad use of resources. It's funny to see the change in people who now support or don't support the increase in taxes now with the election coming up. Anyone listening, don't vote for anyone on the council or the mayor. Don't for any of the candidates for mayor. Write yourself in. These guys are incompetent. They're feckless. They're lazy. They don't deserve a thing. You deserve the government you get. So vote them out. Let's do something different.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else who would like to address the board this afternoon or this evening? Not seeing any other hands online. We'll give it just a second here. All right, and I did hear it sounded like a specific question in there for some information on the 3-minute. In fact, I looked to our city attorney to contact regarding the question on time, manner, place, provide some sort of information. I think that would be very much appropriate. Okay, with that, I'm not seeing anybody else who wishes to address the council. Therefore, we will close the public comment period. And see, we do not have a public hearing this evening. We do have 2 business items similar to what we saw before. First part is setting the property tax rate. Second part is adopting the budget. And I believe Ms. Steck will speak to us on both of these. So first for the property tax rate, Ms. Steck.
Thank you. We kind of just estimated a property tax increase to hold this public hearing or hold this process. The amount that was asked to be increased was 10% to start, and then we had further conversations with the community and the taxpayers that contribute to the special service district. So, council, I'm open to or discussion, or if you need more information from me. Right now, it's a 10% tax increase. It would add about $1,016 to the budget and allow us to not use quite as much reserves. But again, it's pretty much up to the council. So, or board, not the board, the council. You know what I mean?
Is with the 10%, is that option B?
The 10% was just before we even put options out there. So no, it is not option B. Option B actually has 0% for this fiscal year.
Okay.
And then the lift becomes next year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would like to adopt no tax increase, that is fine as well.
So I believe the residents liked B.
They did.
And so I would like to go with B. I would also like us at some point to have the discussion. I know this is budget, but there was also the discussion, and the gentleman last night asked again, what if we want other things? How do we do that? I think that's a conversation we need to have, and not too far down. But for me, I like option B, and that would be my choice.
It would also be nice to be able to spend some time with the residents and explain to them why we've come to them now about this issue, right? But and we heard it last night as well as the meeting when we had it with the residents, that they were wondering, well, why haven't you come to us before now? Well, it hasn't been an issue until now. Inflation has caught up to them. So it would be nice to have the discussion for them to continue to be educated on the area, and that you as a board have been very responsible. And the reason that you have not had to come to them before now is it has never been a budget that's been upside down.
Yeah, maybe we need another meeting in their neighborhood though, because they don't seem to come out in droves. We don't seem to get them here. So
Okay, Council Member Jacob.
Thanks. Denise, do you have the rates for what would need to be in this budget for the different options?
I do. So for option B, it was 0. They wanted 0% for this
That's not what
fiscal
the
year.
rate. So what I'm asking is the
Rates.
resolution has we're setting the rate at to be determined.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't have any numbers to put into that.
So the rate from last year was adopted was 766. So you can see it's just the last 3 digits, right? So 766. It's proposed at 856. It was certified at 778. So there was a slight increase in that area from last year. So it went from 766 to 778. So it would be $2 overall from last year's property tax to the certified rate. And then the proposed rate at 10% in increase of the certified rate was $856, and that is a $23 or $21 increase.
So do you have what option A and option B?
So option A would
have been
need an
no
8%
increase.
tax increase, and 8% would be 840. So at 840, it would be a $16.87 increase.
There we go. Well, there's some numbers.
That's not, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could bring up the calculator I sent you, that would be great. Thanks. Give it just a moment here. I sent him a calculator that we can work on. The FES one.
So if I still have the floor,
Yes,
while we're waiting on
I'll
that,
chime in now.
just as a matter of policy and a matter of course, I don't own property in Fairway Estates either, by the way, but I'm going to vote on this budget too. So, sorry, got distracted there. I'm, as a matter of philosophy and a matter of tax policy, I'm in favor of more frequent, smaller increases. So I'd be in most amenable to option A, where we do smaller increases more often, as opposed to putting it off for a year and doing larger increases and having to do an even larger increase. So.
Okay, so Alan, if you will go to column A, row 17, and change that 10% to 8%, that would be what council member Jacob was requesting. And so you can tell the colors there. If you change 8 to 8%, it changes the tax rate to 840. And then if you look at the columns over there on column H, you can see the average tax that someone in Fairway Estates would pay as well. So you can see it goes to 227. It's currently certified, which means no tax increase at 210, 211. So column L is what is certified. An average taxpayer would pay $210.83. Your proposed budget right now would have them paying $231.96 a year. And within 8%, it would be $227.69 a year. And then under that, 2 rows, you can see the difference between the different kinds of different years. See what the increase is.
Board Member Pack, then Board Member Worthing.
Oh, thank you, Chair. From when we were discussing yesterday, knowing that this conversation was coming up last night, this morning, I'm trying to think of what would work. So, of course, listening to residents, and they want Plan B, whereas Councilmember Jacob mentioned our policy guideline that we've adopted with the more frequent incremental raises would be more A. Can we do an A minus, B plus? Somewhere between those two, because that way it takes into consideration both philosophies, listening to residents and staying with our policy. So if we didn't do 10 and we've got an 8, 9, well.
So B would be 0 and A was 8.
Have to be
A would have
halfway
been
between
8%.
there,
So between would be a 4%.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
Alan, do you want to change that 8%
Just
to
to see
4% to see what that looks like?
What the number would be. I mean, I know that you had the chart yesterday of A, B, or C.
Sure.
But
so the 4% would bring in an additional $400 into the fund, and it would be an $8.50 sort of increase to the resident, and their property tax would be $219.26.
right. Oh, okay. Thank you.
So between A and B would be 4%.
Right. Thank you.
Board Member Pack, does that satisfy your?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Chair.
Okay. Board Member Worthing.
I mean, honestly, we represent the citizens. If they come back with option B, then that's the way I'm going to vote. I mean, that's what I want to see is option B. It's we're the voice of the people, regardless of what we think is best or not. And we asked for a neighborhood meeting. We asked for a survey. We got the results. It's a simple, honestly, it's just simple for me. That's agree, disagree, don't like. It's about what the residents want. So that's where I'm at. So option B.
Board Member Green, then I'll chime in.
That's what I mean. In order to get this right, we have spent an inordinate amount of time of community engagement with this neighborhood. I will call it unprecedented engagement with this special service district and the neighborhood.
at the end of the day, I agree. We reached out to the residents. We held the outreach meeting in the park. We did surveys. We took the survey through Qualtrics. We took surveys through the mail. We took surveys through, and we got a fairly decent chunk back. What did we get, Alan? 25%. We get 18, 20 of them.
We got 22 out of 56.
That's almost 50% in a mass marketing campaign. That's excellent, because most mass marketing campaigns get 3. So, the fact that, the fact that we got that many, we got nearly half, I'd say that's a good indicator. I want to see B.
And a couple of questions I had here, because I'm not trying to share the same viewpoint that has been expressed, that the residents are asking for no increase. How many of them on the survey responded that they wanted no increase?
Of the 22 that responded, 45% chose option B, so it's 10.
Or 10?
So it's a quarter.
And Chair, if I may add, the other 55% were about equally split between A and C.
So we have 18% of the homes that are there, because there are 56, of which 10 said that they would like to see nothing, no change. So we've only got 18%. So I don't know that we really have the will of the community as a whole, which is why I'm still kind of falling back to my own judgment on this one. And what I felt like I heard quite a bit was, why are we just hearing? Why is this doing now? Why didn't something happen sooner? That's why I would be on the fence. I'd be willing to consider an increase here. That said, the other thing we have is a fund balance that's equal to how many years worth of revenue?
At amount of the expense right now, it would be about 3 years worth of revenue.
Yeah. Were it not for that, if our fund balance were half or 30% where it's at, I would definitely be advocating for an increase. However, where we've only got 18% that are speaking out in favor, we have a fund balance that is higher, much higher than I'd like to see. I'd be okay going with no increase and just proceeding with the certified tax rate. And see no other lights. Just to clarify, that's the current 7.000776 778. That is very, very small type. Therefore, I move to approve resolution 11, setting the 2023 property tax rate for the West Jordan Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District at 0.000778.
I will second that motion.
Motion by Board Member McConaughey, second by Board Member Green. Discussion to the motion. I see Board Member Jacobs' light is illuminated. Please.
Thank you. I'm not going to lose sleep over this one way or the other. Like you said, there's a hefty reserve, and for this year, it doesn't make a difference. But this is the quintessential can kicking, which I'm generally opposed to. This road still has a can on it, and this is putting off the decision for one more year, because next year we'll have less than 3 years worth of fund balance in there, and so on and so forth, and it will just decrease little by little, and eventually we won't have a reserve until something happens and we stop kicking the can. I prefer, like you just mentioned, that that the residents said, why didn't you do something sooner? Well, the best time was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. And this is the time I'd prefer to set the course for the following years, as opposed to putting it off and setting the course down the line. And like I said, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I could vote for this certified rate, or I could vote for a modest increase. Policy-wise, this is a no for me. But in practicality, and for this particular year, I'm not going to fight it. It doesn't matter that much in this particular instance, but I'm just saying, as a
as a policy, this is the wrong step.
Board Member Pack.
Well, thank you, Chair. The reason I was talking about an A-B+ was to try to mesh both the policy and the resident input. If it has to be a choice of one or the other, let's say, if just taking it, on the polars, I definitely would vote with what the residents want, because as was mentioned very appropriately, I want to vote in the way that the majority of the residents want, recognizing we didn't get a majority, but those who did come out and were vocal, that's what they would like. So choosing between resident input and policy, I'll go with resident input, but I'd be more in favor of the A-B+ approach to still have them heard and still go with our policy. But that's not the option. That's the motion that's been tendered. Thank you.
So I'll just briefly speak in favor of the motion and kind of add a little bit of a different analogy rather than playing kick the can. I'm imagining a stick and a hoop and someone running on the road, pushing the hoop with the stick. And we've seen that the road is about to turn. We don't necessarily need to turn right now. I think if we turn right now and increase what we're bringing in already, increase the revenues that are being collected right now, I think we're turning too soon and getting off course. I think it's okay in this case to wait. We know the road's going to turn. We have plenty of time to prepare for it. The reserves are, that's the one I have the problem with. There's too much, in my opinion, in the reserves there. So a natural way to bring it down, but knowing that the road's about to turn, rather than playing kick the can down the road, I feel like it's appropriately timing the hoop and the stick. So obviously I'm in favor of the motion. With that, I'm not seeing any other lights. So we'll turn to Ms. Quick for a vote.
Thank you. Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Board Member Jacob,
Yes.
Board Member Green,
Yes.
Chair McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Worthman,
Yes.
Board Member Pack,
No.
Board Member Whitelock.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 6-1.
Okay, that brings us to business item B, which is resolution number 10, adopting the FY24 annual budgets for Fairway Estates. Ms. Stack.
Thank you. So with that change, we'll be amending the budget, the property tax revenue back to the certified revenue. And we will be using reserves to take up the rest of the gap there. So that would be the changes to the budget that we proposed based on those changes that just occurred on the last resolution. And the budget stands before you. Thank you.
Board Member Green.
I move that we approve resolution number 10, adopting the FY24 annual budget for the West Jordan Fairway Estates Special Service District using the certified tax rate and reserves to adjust the cost of the budget.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Green, second by Board Member Worthen. A collective bless you from the board entirely. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none. Ms. Quick, please walk us through a vote.
Chair McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Green,
Yes.
Board Member Whitelock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Board Member Pack,
Yes.
Board Member Worthman,
Yes.
and Board Member Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 7-0.
Look for a motion for consent items.
I was going to say, I move to approve consent items.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Green, second by Board Member Worthen. Not seeing any lights, therefore all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Rule that motion passes unanimously.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Green, second by Board Member Whitelock, third by Board Member Bloom, fourth by Board Member Worthen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.